going, everybody? So this should be the last full-length update before you see the saw running. I pretty much got all the parts I need in, except a flywheel, because let me tell you, one of you, this crazy bug there, sorry, there's like a light and getting distracted, guys. One of you guys' comments was spot on, talking about the you can't have the brand mismatch between the flywheel and the actual ignition coil itself, and that's what happened. So this was the last flywheel I got. It was marked as a super, I think a super EZ, and when I looked at the specs of this chainsaw, the parts list, it didn't have the parts. It didn't have the specific part number listed on the listing, so that's how I kind of missed it. But it had the Phelon brand. My saw came with the Wyco one. And I looked on the parts list and I saw it had Phelon, the part number, and then it had the Wyco part number. So what I thought that since the Super EZ is, I thought it was the same body style as this, and I still think it is, because a lot of the parts seem to be interchangeable. This and the ignition coil are not, so you have to get the specific ignition coil for your flywheel. Didn't know that, and I could not find one for this Phelon brand. Every time I looked it up, they just came up like super cheap aftermarket ones, which I have no way to validate if that would have fit on there correctly. So basically, what I had to do again was I had to go back and find a Wyco one, because my original, which is this one, I broke, and it's overall it's not it was not in quality shape either. But I broke two of the spikes off, the fins, whatever you call it. It's taken apart, and again, I've never taken apart an old saw like this, and that thing was stuck on there. So I was being dumb, and I broke two when I was taking off. But I got a puller and did it the right way after. But so basically, I ended up getting two Phelon ones, because I got this one that didn't come with the hardware. I couldn't find the hardware sold separately, so I had to buy another flywheel. Not very expensive, only about 15 bucks. And this one came with hardware. I put the hardware on this one, but it turns out the hardware is also not interchangeable with the stock recoil cover on these saws. So I had to put the Wyco pawls back on the Phelon, put that back on, only to put the entire saw together. But I didn't have any spark, and I saw that the ignition coil, the ignition coil, guys, and the what's called the magnets, they don't line up. So I ended up going back and forth. Again, I don't know the name, but your comment was spot on, so I'll reply to it soon. But man, you talk about it, well, for one thing, it's hard enough to find parts for this thing. I've been searching eBay for a while now, and I only found one Wyco factory flywheel for this saw. Other than that, I would have to have bought just a trash part saw. And I almost was gonna take a gamble with buying. I found a pretty cheap part saw, but it didn't have the clutch on one side, and it was in super rough shape. So I was highly skeptical that the flywheel was in good shape. And because it was so rough shape, if I ended up getting a saw that, let's say, had the Phelon flywheel on it, I'd be in the same boat, because I can't put that on there, and I'd have no guarantee if that ignition coil was good. So that's kind of what I was in. So I knew I had to buy the Wyco flywheel flat out. Fortunately, I did find one, and that's all I could find. So that's what I went with, guys, and that should be coming in a few days. Hopefully after that, I'm reassembling it. I did a compression test, by the way. It turned out like it was like 91 psi, and it held. So I'm happy with that. So I think I put the case seems solid, but it does not appear that there were leaks, because I held the pressure on there for a little bit, and the compression didn't go down at all. So I'm holding out that we have no air leaks. I'm holding out that the crank seals are okay, because I didn't replace those. I think they are, because the saw, I think, is lightly used, so I'm not worried about the seals right now. So once I get the flywheel on here, and once I get spark to come back, which I know for a fact it will once I get the other one, because the ignition coil in this is in great shape. It's the factory one. It's fantastic. Which these things are expensive. This is like a $50 part if you were about to buy this new one. So I'm not doing that. I just get a part. So that's too expensive, right? Like I'm not sinking that amount of money into a single part for this. But the flywheel is like, okay, the flywheel is like 30, so not very far off. But still, it's definitely, that's the most expensive part I've had to buy for this so far. So, but that's my bad. Should have done that step one. But now, if I do decide to do a super easy build, which I might, I have 2 flywheels. So, just collecting parts. I got the mounting studs, which are hard to come by, so I got a few extra of those. I got the pawls, which are a little harder to come by, just from what I'm searching. So, I got a few of those. So I'm just building up my kind of parts repository for when I build the next saw, whatever I have to decide, whatever that saw is. It's probably going to be another Homelite. I was a huge fan of working on this, ton of fun, but it's only just the beginning, because once I get this all built up, once I get the flywheel in, I'll make a video on that, put this in. I'm going to show you guys getting it spark, and I'm going to do, I don't know what else I have to do. I think I'm trying to think, going through like the checklist in my head, but I think we should be fine after we put the clutch on, or the flywheel on, guys. So once I do that and put a little gas in there, I'm hoping, here's the other thing. I did not want to buy new lines. Hold on a second. I did not want to buy new lines for this saw. At least not the factory ones. Those things they're a lot, and especially if they break. I'm not going on eBay and buying an OEM line from 45 years ago. I'm not doing that. So I kind of retrofitted just off-the-shelf lines in this. Now, if you saw the short, you might notice one small detail. There's a problem. I know there's a problem, but we should be fine. Should be, because so one of the lines, right? I'll show you. There's no way you're gonna be able to see this on camera. You have to go back and watch the short if you think you know what I'm talking about. But one of the lines, if you were to go into the saw, you would see there's 2 lines connected to each other, one smaller, one bigger. So it's kind of like a coupling, but without them. It's an oil line. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. It was hard to get in the first place. I think it's gonna seal. If it doesn't seal, then I'm gonna have to look at another solution. But I am not putting the factory lines on this thing, because I don't want to buy those. I can get 5 feet of brand new line for a couple bucks in 4 stocks of the sizes. That's what I'm doing. I'm not about to go and put like ancient lines on this thing again. So all the other lines fit super nice. I mean, I was able to use, right, it was just that one oil line that was causing me issues. It's the I forget if it was the outgoing oil line or the incoming oil line on the manual thing. So again, it's not too bad if it leaks. It's on the manual oiler, which feeds the bar. It's not on the automatic oiler, which goes to which is right behind the clutch. So if it was that one, I'd be a little more, hesitant. There's another thing I need to keep my eye on. So I did not replace the grommet going into the gas line. So this is sitting in there, so it might leak. Strong possibility. If it does leak, I just have to get some gasoline-proof seal. No problem at all. So like it's like a grommet. I don't know what it's called specifically. It's like a grommet maker. Well, it's grommet maker, but it's called like some seal. I don't know. It's moto or something like that. Moto seal. I don't know. There's a lot of slang words for it, but it's grommet maker. Which I don't know. I used it on my weed whacker, but it wasn't gasoline proof. Which we'll see what happens. It's high temperature. I mean, the worst thing that would happen was it would break down, which I guess I don't want to get into my gas tank. So I might get some improved ones. So I have to keep an eye on that, because if that leaks, I can't have that leaking out of there for sure. But if that does leak, it's an easy fix. I'm gonna because that's stuff you can take off. So I'm gonna put some around the seal here. Again, this is my one complaint about these saws is the fittings. I don't know if the fittings are ridiculous. I mean, you talk about, well, first of all, they're obscure sizes. I used some that were too small, but I just put it on. I mean, the obscure sizes, there's weird parts that have like it goes from a larger size to a smaller size. They don't sell that off the shelf, so I really had to kind of get creative. I'm thinking the lines are fine, I guess. So the automatic oiler works because you can hear it coming out of the bar side. So I think that I'm confident there. I'm not worried at all about the gas line. I was just straight up just swap lines and put it to the car. I'm not worried about that at all. I'm just worried about a little leaking around the ground, but we'll see. I guess that's kind of the thing you have to do with these saws. I mean, you can't get the parts, so at least not this far south. I mean, maybe up north, but not down in. I mean, I don't know. You're not gonna find any of these parts in the south. Probably, at least on Florida, I haven't seen any. So this is a Canadian saw. So I mean, I got to retrofit some stuff. So, but that just makes it easier in the long run to maintain. So I mean, this thing can last as long as you work on it. So if you just swap it with quality parts, I mean, the piston's good. The piston, you saw, I swapped brand new piston on. It pulls great. I oiled it around there. I cleaned the cylinder with brake clean. I put oil around the cylinder, so we should be fine. It was pulling clean. I don't think nothing got in there. You know, I mean, maybe some dust, but I'm confident that we're fine. It's going to take a lot of pulls to get that gas going into there. It's going to take 20, 30, 40 pulls to get that gas into that cylinder and through that carb. I might have to clean the carb. That's another thing. I didn't clean the carb. It started when I got the saw. I'm not thinking I will have to right now. I'm not sure. I might prime it a little bit. Just put some gas in like the cylinder just to see if I can fire it to make sure it's okay. I might do that after like, if I start getting 25, I'm gonna prime it and then let's really get things moving along. I'm excited about it. Obviously I'm gonna film everything. You're gonna see every part. I have about 40 videos of this saw. I mean, I've hit every single major part. You've seen pretty much every single step that I've done, minus a couple of small things like the fittings and some of the lines. But every major part I've documented. If you pull up this saw, I mean, hopefully you're going to see the videos. So some are better quality than others, but I had to do the shorts because it just doesn't slow down the pace that I'm building this saw. Or at least trying to, but it's taken a long time to just. I watched like that Leon's chainsaw repair guys tear down of the saw like 5 or 6 times. I mean, this thing was. This is a hard saw to fix. I wasn't anticipating it being this challenging, especially like the needle bearings. I probably spent at least an hour just fumbling around with those needle bearings until I finally figured out a way that I could put it on. I had to use I used a grease. I probably should have used like a white grease, but I just had a multi-purpose grease, that's all I had, and I was just getting frustrated. So I just put that on there because you have to get them to stick to the piston rod somehow. And you saw the video. I took like a little piece of wire, flipped the saw upside down, roped the wire through, held it on the backside, hold the other. I mean, I don't know a better way you could have done. They would fall out, and the inside of the cylinder and the rod is magnetized. So if you it's like operation, man. You put the thing in there, you got needle bearings shooting all over the place. I'm like, you can't. Patience. I mean, that was a test of patience. I mean, every time I put it in there, if I even thought about getting close to the edge, there goes a needle bearing. So, yeah. I looked up. This is a width gauge. So when I looked up for numbers on that what's that site? Mike Akers site that has like all the specs for every saw. This had an air gap between the ignition coil and the flywheel of 0.004 to 0.008, and this is 0.006. I'm gonna do 0.006. I don't want it to be too far apart so I don't get spark, but I don't want it to be too close because sometimes when you tighten the bolts down, it kind of scoots it in a little bit. So I'm going 0.006. Now, is that really a difference? No, not really. But I noticed though, in the past I've used like cardstock for this, and this is a lot thinner. So I think cardstock would have been too far wide or gap, and it wouldn't have sparked right. So if you have a gauge, you might need to get a gauge, a thickness gauge, with at least down to 0.004, 006, 0.008 max. That's the official number. So I'm not making that up. So that's what it is. So that's what I'm going to do. If you saw the short video, you actually saw that I used cardstock. That's incorrect. I gotta fix it. But I'll make an updated one when I get the flywheel. I didn't know at the time, and that's when I thought I was using the correct flywheel or whatever. So those are some challenges I've had with the saw. Would I build another one? For sure. For sure, definitely. I mean, this has been a ton of fun. I've learned a tremendous amount about chainsaws, more than I ever thought I would have known, or wanted to know. Really, to be blunt about it. But that's fun, man. These things are really technical. But once I do build it up, like I said, that's just the beginning, because I'm taking it apart again. Because once I build it up, get it running how I want it, I'm gonna get the numbers, the timing numbers with my new cylinder. It should be the same, but I'm gonna get the timing numbers, especially with the new gasket. I don't know if the gasket I got is a different thickness, but we'll see. We'll get the timing numbers, and then we have to figure out, okay, how do we want this to run? Higher torque, high RPM. I did the high RPM build with my weed whacker, if you saw that. I mean, that thing's just nuts. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I straight piped it. I think it screams. It is so powerful, but it has no torque. It doesn't have a lot of torque. But you don't need a lot of torque for grass. With grass, like grass is like cutting paper, so you don't need a lot of torque. But high speeds benefits a weed whacker, so I just went full out. Hey, let's just widen the ports as much as we can. That thing's a 20 cc engine. I think if that. I mean, that thing is just nuts. I found a used engine of that for 15 bucks. So if I blow it up, well, you know, for 15 bucks, I mean, what is that? It's just a ton of fun. But I did put my exhaust back on because it was loud, and I was using it actually to cut, to trim by like water, and I was kind of bugging me because that thing was too loud. So I don't think we're gonna do that. I think we're gonna try to go for a little bit. We're going to try to go for a little more pull, you know, like higher torque into the cut. That's what I want to do, because so my plan with this is I have a couple of logs that I'm drying for like 2 years or something like that. Well, no, not 2 years, like a year-ish, year and a few months. I'm going to cut those up, and then I'm going to make them into wood that I can use for my next furniture build. I'm thinking they're going to be really nice drawer fronts. That's what I think I'm going to use them for, because the wood's really unique. I think it's Florida live oak is what the wood is. Super hard wood, especially when it's green. It's like a stone when it's green. It's nuts. So hopefully when it dries, it's a little easier to cut. You can't cut it when it's green at all. It binds every blade. I tried running it through my bandsaw, wouldn't take it. My saw was binding, hand saw, I barely got through it. I had to put like WD-40 on all the time. Way too difficult to work with. So I'm going to stick to, I think, using it for drawer fronts. And that'll give it a really unique kind of look, but it's kind of going to be unique to Florida because that's a Florida tree. So that's what I think I'm going to do. And I need this chainsaw to do that. So, well, I need this one, but I'd like to use a chainsaw. So that's what we're going to do. But, and as I've seen some other ones, this one was in good shape. I'm really excited about how this saw turns out. I don't know what it is about these Homelites guys, but they just look nice. Not that chainsaws are about aesthetic, but when you're building one for, you know, your project saw, you want it to look nice. So this one looks nice, I think. It's got I don't know, it's kind of neat, the rim and everything. So Not that aesthetics are what it's about, but I mean, they can be when it's your project saw. I haven't thought about exhaust. I'm leaving it stock right now. I might build a muffler down the road, not anytime soon, maybe in like a couple of years or something, when I start getting more parts and like a collection of saws and stuff. Yeah, so that's what I got going, guys. So thank you for all the new subscribers I've gotten. We are almost at 1,000. Super excited. We were like last time I checked it was like 980. I mean, hey, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm excited for where this goes, because I'm doing stuff every day, like all the time. So if I'm down here, I may as well make videos and I don't know, try to get some kind of community around me. You know what I mean? Like that's what YouTube's all about. Like just getting like subscribers and then interacting and trying to develop a nice, kind community. That's kind of what we're trying to go for. So hopefully it'll be a fun place for people to watch and hang out and learn something. I don't know. So if you guys are into this content though, let me know. I'm trying to figure out my video style. Like I'm doing the shorts. Obviously I'm doing some of the fuller length, but I'm trying to figure out how to do more of the fuller length. To incorporate that into some of my more builds. Because I'm still, I'm super in the learning phase of all this stuff. So I can't really film the whole thing because it would be crazy long, but maybe I can. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. All right, have a good one.